Hello. So today we are doing a presentation on the planning of the design and construction of your property in a COVID landscape. I am joined by my colleagues Taru, who heads the architecture, and Suyashi, who heads the green building practice, and I myself look after the academy part. So today the three of us will be presenting the complete case for handling the design and construction of your property, essentially the development of your property during the COVID times. With that, let's start. Next slide, please. So the agenda is the definition of the problem statement, what has changed during COVID times, the solution for the problem is broken down into the design, which is architecture, analysis for health and comfort, analysis for high performance buildings, introduction to green buildings. And then the construction part, which comprises of the construction drawing stage, construction planning, IT tools, contracts and disputes. And finally, we will talk about how all of these come together and how one can learn more in the academy. Next, please. In the typical buying journey of a person looking to develop their property, the first step is the architectural design of the house or the commercial building that they seek to develop. It could even be the interiors of your house or the interiors of the office space that you seek to develop. The second step is the integration of health and comfort as well as high performance buildings, which we collectively call green building. This is the major aspect which has changed during the COVID times, when we have become more aware of the performance and health of occupants in the buildings. The third aspect is the traditional construction practice, but before the construction actually starts, we want to do a little bit of construction planning so that the process is better managed. During construction, the next stage is that of project management, where we use information technology to monitor the progress on site as well as handle any clashes before they happen. Final stage is that of handover, where one compares the starting point with the final product and is able to now move into the property or enjoy the benefits of the property development. Next, please. We have talked about health concerns, which are now mainstream in the design of spaces as well as construction. There are increasing limitations to the physical proximity of workers on a construction site, and even while meeting other people, be it professionals, be it other human beings. So physical interactions are wrought with individual safety concerns now. What we have come across is that the quality of homes that we are living in are not very high quality homes actually. And today homes alone are keeping us indoors and safe from COVID. So we need to improve on the quality of the homes. The toxicity of air. With so many toxins in the outdoor air, as well as increasing number of pollutants in the indoor air, the air we breathe in is not sufficient for our health anymore. And that needs to be addressed. And finally, the lack of labor due to the reverse migration of multiple COVID waves has left many people still back in the villages as they don't want to come back, and that has created a labor crunch on sites. So how to address that? Next, please. So with that, now I would invite my colleague Taru to talk about the solution through the design process and guide us further. Thank you.
Hi, I am Taru Rawat. So I'm heading the architecture interiors part of Ecoinch. I am going to take you through the design process. So architecture should speak of its time and place, but yearn for timelessness. So I'll explain it to you as I go through my slides. Next, please. So what I am going to explain to you about the other design elements of architecture and interiors, and also give you a brief information about the green buildings. So right now, as you must have noticed, that we have lived enough in our homes in the past year than we ever did before. So don't you think this has enabled us to actually brainstorm about the spaces where we live and how we can make it better? The only aesthetics and the beautification part we earlier used to focus on, it's now much more function oriented. Next, please. So what you see right now here, it is a simple skyline of a metropolitan city. And most of us can easily identify a city based on its skyline. How? That is because we can identify the buildings. And where does these buildings come from? It's all about architecture and design. Next, please. Okay. So here you can see these three images, and I'm assuming everybody identified the central one, which is the Ambani Star Antilia. So these buildings here, they stand out in respect to their environment. Let me take you through a very quick walkthrough about how. Next, please. So there are three major elements like proportion, scale, and symmetry, which all the designers, all the architects play with. And that is what they have focused on in here in these three buildings. So like you see, the first one, the scale is pretty large in compared to the buildings it is being surrounded with. The second one, you see the proportion is such that floors are grouped together. In the third one, there is a symmetry. The the materials are symmetrical. The very facade is pretty symmetrical. And these buildings, they become so conspicuous that they eventually become the landmark of the city. Next, please. So next I'm going to talk about is the textures. It's not only about the design, but also the textures which are used in the building facade, which play a very important role. Like, for instance, I'm sure that everybody knows India Habitat Center. And it's pretty famous for their brick facade, and you admire Burj Khalifa for the glass panels they have used. Similarly, in the next slide, I'll show you how the materials are playing an important part. Next, please. So you see, there are a lot of multiple options we have today, from glass, bricks, EPP, HPL, metal cladding. So the glass gives a very modern outlook. Similarly, brick gives a very rooted look to the building. Then cotton, steel, or metal cladding, like copper cladding, it gives a very industrial look and a very modern touch too. Next, please. Okay, so this image, it's a very simple residential project. It is designed by an architect in Australia. So there's a lot of things happening here. So the ground floor is very symmetrical, whereas the top floor, it's not. But the uniformity here, it lies in the finishes, in the textures. The wooden battens you see that have been used, the louvers, they give a very warm feeling. Again, on the ground floor, you see the floor to ceiling high doors and windows. They make the building very comfortable in terms of visual and comfort. The amalgamation is perfect and functional for the residents here. Next, please. All right, in this image, so earlier we were talking mostly about the architecture, the exterior of a building. Here I'm going to give you an insight about how the interiors are also playing with proportion and texture. So in the first image, if you see, things are placed very parallelly. Everything is about sleek lines, very neat. You can see it in the shape of the room, in the furniture. Then the material here. In the first image, you see the linear wooden pattern is being followed, whereas in the second one, you see the Moroccan tile pattern. So apart from the texture and the proportion, even the pattern is playing a very important part. Next, please. Okay, so in this image, everything has a very designated space and everything has a purpose here. So the color palette is very neutral. It's giving a very nice ambiance to the space. The plants, they are livening up the space. So they are not just a very aesthetic feature, but also they're acting on the indoor air pollutants. The window, it is ensuring that there is natural ventilation and lighting. The furniture, it's very minimal, very Scandinavian style, modern, neutral palette again. Next, please. Okay, so here my colleague Suyeshi will take you through how the performance of a building works parallelly with the design and architecture. Over to you, Suyeshi.
Thank you, Tarun. So now, moving on from aesthetics aspect of the building to the next immediate factor, which you all should consider, and that is features. However grand a building may seem, if in the end it is not performing as designed or is unable to work as and when needed, then what is the point, right? So let's explore what all features makes a building functional. Firstly, talking about health and comfort, as Taru already explained, the current pandemic has surely made us all stay confined in the protection of our homes. The importance of safe homes has increased multifold. Air quality, daylighting, occupant safety now hold the uttermost importance in our life. While our health depends on the clean indoor environment quality, our well-being depends on the visual connect to the outdoor surroundings. So we are basically like a plant. We cannot thrive in a closed room. Therefore, access to sunlight, yet not heat, clear views with minimal obstruction. We need comfortable interiors irrespective of the harsh weather conditions outside. So here's a tabular form summing up the entire thing. And yeah, lastly, we further need acoustically silent and acoustically insulated spaces. See, there will be noise, whether you live in a city or a suburb to some extent. This not only hampers one's daily routine, but also tends to mess with one's focus. Thus, a good envelope is crucial to promote healthy interiors and better health. So now moving on to the high performance building, where both passive and active technologies run in harmony through integrated design process. A design where all the stakeholders like architects, engineers, consultants, etc. come together and design the building to minimize post-construction interference between different building components. The process focuses on the design, construction, operation, and occupancy of a building over its complete life cycle in the very start of any project. For example, allowing sunlight to penetrate the interior space is a passive measure, while addition of optimized artificial light is an active measure. This can be further stepped up by use of light sensors which can adjust as per the circadian rhythm of day and night. Such features form the very core of smart homes. These intelligent buildings are upgraded with artificial intelligence to control all the comfort aspects, be it about advanced heating and cooling systems with thermal control, or indoor air quality monitors to minimize and check air pollutants inside, automated sensors to switch on and off appliances, so on and so forth. This can also include remote access, advanced security, home networks, etc. The cherry on the cake here is when on top of all these features, one can ensure an efficient functioning and well-managed running costs over the entire life cycle of a project. Now, finishing off with the technical aspect, let's move on to the construction part. And before that, I would like Taru to take it forward.
Okay. So, like my colleague explained about the high performance building, and earlier I explained about how the architecture and interiors. We at Ecoinch, what are we basically providing you? So, how these things can be adjoined together and make the design more functional. So, first we start with space planning. So, space planning is very important because every area I believe needs to be designated, have a designated space. So if it's a workplace, then the head count has to be catered to. If it's a residential space, the residential people have to be catered to. So similarly, space planning, how we at Ecoinch do that, we basically we do test fit outs for you, and it's more of a 3D visualization for you. Secondly, let's talk about ventilation. So ventilation, we all understand it could be natural or artificial, but what we are going to do is we are going to help you what strategy can make your energy more efficient. So what is the filtration media that you need to use if it's an artificially ventilated space? If it's a naturally ventilated space, how your building orientation is going to be, where are the windows going to be placed, things like that. Next, I will take you to the lighting part of it. So whether it is for a work desk or for your kitchen or even to highlight a simple painting. So we help you decide which fixture is more energy efficient, which fixture gives you the required color temperature, which fixture will help you cater to the lumens required for a space. Next, we will move on to acoustics. So this is basically majorly for workspaces which have exposed ceiling, for instance. So there the HVAC can be a hindrance. So we help you decide on the decibel levels that need to be maintained, what are the material finishes that need to be put up in that space based on the NRC levels. Next, we will talk about ergonomics. So ergonomics and anthropometry is something that we as architecture and designers have been taught from the start. What should be the height of the kitchen worktop or a work desk? And to help you identify this in your daily life, in your worktops, in your furniture, everything, we can help you decide on the furniture. So for work desks, like there are brands like Herman and Miller, Hayworth that provide ergonomical furniture. Similarly, we will help you identify that. And it's not just about being ergonomically apt, but also there are these furnitures. They are also sustainable. They always have a recycled content. Many of them have they are certified by green building councils. Next is material and finishes. So any material that you see around you, it is, even at this very moment, it is emitting some compound that could be dangerous to human health and also the environment. So to make your design more efficient, we help you choose materials, that have low VOC content. So there are range of paints, range of particle boards. Then you have FSC sourced furniture. So there are a lot of things, but how do we proceed with this? So my colleague, Mr. Anupam Jain, he will take you forward with how the construction process is going to take. Over to you, sir.
Right. Thank you, Taru. Suyushi, could you go to the next slide, please? Right. So till now, we have talked about the different types of design analysis, health and comfort analysis, as well as the high performance building analysis. And these are all part of the design, and they are done in typically 2 or 3 different stages. The first being the schematic design, second being the concept design or the design development. And after we have gone through all these motions of design, we come to the final design. What we are using are digital tools which prepare the building in a 3D format from day one. We are using the software to make sure that the building is being designed to incorporate all the intelligence that the design process before that had calculated or simulated. So we are doing a lot of analysis which is far more technical than is being presented over here. It includes a lot of energy modeling, daylight modeling, acoustic modeling, and so on and so forth to scientifically make sure that the house, the office, the building that you're talking about is going to perform, is going to be healthy, it's going to be comfortable, it's going to be efficient in all manners through scientific evidence and not through an intuition. Once we have done this lab vetting of the entire design, we then produce the technical drawings, which are called the construction drawings. Those technical drawings are what are used on the site, and they're called good for construction drawings. These construction drawings also typically have 3D elements from our design to aid the construction worker in developing and delivering the product as it was intended to be. Okay, so this first transition is from the design, the beautiful buildings, the beautiful design 3Ds, which is all done digitally. And this is the difference between pre-COVID and post-COVID, that we are now doing everything digitally. So after the construction drawings, which are also done digitally, we move into the next stage, which is the construction planning. This is pre-construction and also done digitally. In this construction planning stage, whatever brands that Taru talked about in the furniture, in the flooring, in the paints, in the uh, boards, in the each and every aspect of the building, each and every material, each and every aspect is written down in a tabular format in an Excel file, and we call that a bill of quantities. The quantity of each material is listed in front of that, and we put equivalent brands. That, let's say we are talking about a plyboard, then whether it is going to be Century or Green Lamb or some other company, all of the brands and the product codes are specified, their costing is specified, and their areas are specified, so that we can come to a net costing of wherever the plywood is being used. This is the cost that is going to be. Similarly, all the 100 different items that go into the project are listed down, their quantities calculated, their market prices put in, and the total cost of the project is derived. At this stage, we also produce a low, medium, and high costing of the entire project, and also consult with you, the owner of the building, to advise on which areas to be invested in and which areas to be compromised in if required. So we typically move with the premium, elite, and luxury segment. So these are the three stages in which we calculate the construction cost. So typically, the premium segment starts at about 1200 plus tax per square foot rupees. The elite starts at about 1500 rupees per square foot, again plus tax. And then the luxury starts at about 22,000 rupees plus tax, which comes to about 2500 rupees per square feet, including tax. And those three are the benchmarks that one can consider when developing the property. So let's say I have a plot that is of 1,000 square meters, then I'm going to, and I have a floor area ratio FAR of 1.5, which means I can build 1500 square meters on that plot. And if I multiply that by 10, which is roughly the conversion from square meter to square feet, then about 15,000 square feet I can build. Now those 15,000 square feet multiplied by whether it is 1200 or 1500 or 2000 gives you the approximate cost of construction. Our fees is usually included or listed separately, which is roughly about 200 rupees, including all the project management, construction planning, interiors, architecture, etc. Details get updated on the website, and you can go and look at that. Once the construction planning has been completed, wherein you have a very clear idea of the costing, now what I told you were the rules of thumb, but at this stage, when we have proceeded to the detailed drawings, the actual quantities have been put out, the bill of quantities has been prepared, and now we know exactly what component is going to cost what. That is a time when we go ahead and we start planning the site mobilization. And that is a time when we look at other tools and methods, processes through which we will be monitoring the construction on site to make sure the original design intent is translated into the physical reality. Next slide, please. So after the construction planning has been done, we move to the construction itself, and that is when we implement the construction project management protocols as discussed. And the objective is to lead the team efficiently to achieve all the project goals with the available resources and within the stipulated time. And that is where our project management schedules come in of each and every activity. So each and every construction activity is defined in the schedule with a manpower requirement, material requirement, as well as time requirement. And that schedule is a guiding document for the monitoring of the construction activities. We talked about the bill of quantities for the cost control, where the translation of the design documents into a construction bill of quantities by specification of brands and materials used is done. Second being monitoring of progress, where catching hold of deviations in the cost and time aspect of the project and taking corrective measures to bring the project on track is done. And these are the tools. This is not an exact science. Construction is not 1 + 1 = 2. So these are the ways in which we control and we monitor. And what is the objective? To mitigate risks, avoiding or reducing the possible risks that may occur to ensure timely completion of the project within the sanctioned budget. That is the objective of having the construction project management as a complete process. And in this process, we make sure that there are enough expert visits on site, be it from the architect, the structural engineer, or other sub-consultants or other sub-experts who need to come and check the quality of the work. Weekly progress reports are submitted to the clients, and almost daily or alternate day photographs are submitted to the clients so that the monitoring can be done in a scientific manner. So moving to the next slide, please. So as a summary, what are the action items for you? In order to plan the development of your property from a design to construction as well as handover process, you need to first book your design discussion, go towards the green certification consultancy, which is the performance and health and comfort part. And finally, if you would like to learn more about these aspects, or if you are an industry professional watching this presentation, you may want to join the Ecoinch Academy and learn about these aspects, where we do impart our industry expertise to aspiring professionals. So next slide, please. Just elaborating on that, so these are the 4 stages we talked about: architecture and design, green building certification, construction planning, as well as project management. And there are courses available on these. Next slide, please. So thank you so much, and here are the contact details of our team. You can call us or email us, and the website is a complete brochure where you can see our previous projects, our complete scopes of work, our schedules of payment. Complete guidance is there on the website, and feel free to reach out to us in case you have any questions at all. Thank you so much for your time, and have a good day. Thank you.